Not hours at your desk, not hours on email, in meetings, answering messages, scrolling between tasks. Real work. The kind where you were completely focused, producing something that required your full brain. For most knowledge workers, the honest answer is between 30 minutes and 90 minutes. The rest, the 6, 7, 8 hours at the desk, is what Cal Newport calls shallow work. Logistical tasks, reactive communication, busy activity that feels productive and produces almost nothing of lasting value. Here is the uncomfortable truth this book puts in writing. The ability to focus deeply without distraction is becoming simultaneously the rarest and most valuable skill in the modern economy. And most people are losing it every single day without realizing it. By the end of this video, you will know exactly why your focus is being stolen, the science of what it costs you, and the 5 specific ideas from this book that will let you get more done in 2 hours than most people accomplish in a full week. Cal Newport is a computer science professor at Georgetown University. He has never had a social media account. He publishes books, research papers, and a newsletter read by over 100,000 people, while maintaining strict working hours. He is not preaching what he cannot do. He is documenting what he actually does. Deep Work was published in 2016. It has sold millions of copies and been called one of the most important books written about work in the last decade. The core argument is simple, but the implications are radical. We are living through a period where the economic rewards for focused, high-skill work are higher than ever before. And simultaneously, every tool, platform, and cultural norm is optimized to destroy your ability to focus. Most people respond to this by trying to manage their time better. Newport argues you are solving the wrong problem. Time is not the constraint. Attention is. Here are the 5 ideas that change how you think about every working hour you have. Cheat code number 1. Attention residue. Why switching tasks is more expensive than you think. Sophie Leroy, a business school professor, ran a study on how people work between tasks. She named what she found attention residue. Here is the mechanism. When you switch from task A to task B, even if you finish task A completely, part of your brain stays attached to task A. It keeps processing it. It keeps running in the background. And that background processing quietly reduces your performance on task B. Now think about the average knowledge worker's day. Email, meeting, email, Slack message, quick call, back to the project, another notification, email reply. Every single switch leaves residue. By mid-morning, most people are operating at a fraction of their cognitive capacity, not because they are tired, but because their attention is fragmented across a dozen unfinished mental threads. A 2012 McKinsey study found the average knowledge worker spends over 60% of their work week on electronic communication and internet searching, less than 40% on the actual work they were hired to do. The expensive part is not the time spent on email. It is the attention residue from constantly switching that makes every subsequent hour of work less valuable. Application. For the next 5 working days, batch all your email and message checks into 2 windows, 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. Everything else stays closed. The first 3 days will feel uncomfortable. By day 5, you will notice the difference in what you produce in the morning hours. That is attention residue clearing. Cheat code number 2. The Myelin Principle. Why deep work physically changes your brain. This is the neuroscience behind why deep work produces results that shallow work cannot. When you practice a skill with focused, undistracted attention, your brain responds by growing myelin, a fatty tissue that wraps around the relevant neural circuits. Myelin acts like insulation. It makes those circuits fire faster and more cleanly. To be great at something is literally to be well myelinated. And here is what most people miss about this process. Myelin formation requires sustained, focused effort. Distracted practice does not trigger the same neurological response. You cannot build expertise on a fragmented brain. The hours you spend half focused are not just less productive, they are neurologically inert. They do not make you better. This is why Adam Grant, the youngest tenured professor at Wharton, produces more research in a year than most academics produce in 5. He does not work more hours. He batches his work into intense, uninterrupted blocks. In the fall semester, he teaches. In spring and summer, he writes and researches completely. No switching, no splitting. The same number of hours allocated differently produces dramatically different neurological and professional results. Application. Identify the one skill most critical to your career advancement right now. Schedule 3 90-minute uninterrupted blocks this week dedicated only to practicing or advancing that skill. No email, no phone. 3 blocks. Notice what happens to your output quality by the 3rd session. Cheat code number 3, the grand gesture. Why environment changes everything. In 2007, J.K. Rowling was struggling to finish The Deathly Hallows. Deadlines were intense. Her home office in Edinburgh kept filling with interruptions. The window cleaner, the kids, the noise. She checked into a 5-star hotel suite in Edinburgh just to write. The suite cost over £1,000 a night. She finished the book. Newport calls this a grand gesture, a significant, often expensive commitment to the importance of what you are trying to produce. Bill Gates did it with his Think Weeks, twice a year, completely isolated in a lakeside cabin. No meetings, no obligations, just reading and thinking. It was during one of these weeks that he wrote the memo that turned Microsoft's attention to the internet. The logic is not that hotels are magic. The logic is that a dramatic environmental change signals to your brain and everyone around you that what you are doing is serious. When you make it expensive to be distracted, you make it easier to focus. Most people try to do their most important work in the same space, at the same desk, surrounded by the same triggers that pull them into shallow behavior. The environment fights the intention every time. Application. Identify the most important project you need to make progress on this month. Book one full day away from your normal workspace. A library, a cafe with no Wi-Fi, a rented space, anywhere that removes your normal, shallow work triggers. One day, fully committed. The investment in the space is the commitment to the work. Cheat code number 4. Embrace boredom, the habit that is quietly destroying your focus. Newport makes an argument in chapter 2 that most readers intellectually accept and then completely ignore. The ability to concentrate is a skill. Like any skill, it requires practice. And like any skill, if you consistently avoid the discomfort that comes with practice, the skill atrophies. Every time you reach for your phone, the moment boredom arrives, waiting in a queue, sitting in traffic, the first idle moment of the day, you are training your brain that discomfort must be immediately relieved. You are making deep work harder. You cannot spend the hours of your day demanding instant stimulation and then suddenly switch to deep, sustained concentration when your work requires it. The brain does not work that way. Newport's prescription is deliberately uncomfortable. Schedule your internet use. Decide in advance when you will check email, social media, news. Outside those windows, even if you have finished a task and have nothing immediately to do, sit with the boredom. Let your mind wander without feeding it stimulation. This practice does two things. It rebuilds your tolerance for concentration, and it trains the default mode network of your brain, the part responsible for insight and creative connection, to actually function during idle moments rather than being permanently crowded out by distraction. A 2014 study from the University of Virginia found that people left alone with their thoughts for just 15 minutes found the experience so uncomfortable that many chose to give themselves mild electric shocks rather than sit quietly. That is where we are as a society. Application. Tomorrow morning, do not check your phone for the first 60 minutes after waking. Do not fill that time with anything productive. Let the mind be idle. Notice the discomfort. Sit with it. That discomfort is the feeling of your concentration muscle starting to work again. Cheat code number 5. Shutdown Ritual, the counterintuitive secret to doing more. This is the most counterintuitive idea in the book and the one most people dismiss immediately, which is exactly why it separates the people who sustainably produce great work from those who burn out producing average work. Newport advocates a strict shutdown ritual at the end of every working day, a fixed time, say 5:30 p.m., after which no work is done, no email checked, no tasks reviewed, no just one more thing. The average productivity advice says work more hours, grind harder, stay late. Newport says the quality of your deep work tomorrow is determined by how completely you rest today. The science backs this. Research on expertise by Anders Ericsson, the deliberate practice researcher, found that elite performers in virtually every field max out at around 4 hours of genuinely deep, focused work per day. After that, the quality of cognitive output degrades regardless of how many hours are logged. Working 10 shallow hours does not produce more than 4 deep hours. It produces less, and it depletes the resource you need for tomorrow. The shutdown ritual works through the Zeigarnik effect, the psychological phenomenon where incomplete tasks occupy our attention until they are resolved. Newport's ritual involves reviewing every open task, confirming it is captured and has a next step, then verbally saying shutdown complete. This signals to the brain that the tasks are under control, releasing them from active working memory so genuine rest can happen. Application. Tonight, before you stop working, spend 10 minutes reviewing every open task you have. For each one, write the very next physical action required. Then close everything and say, out loud if needed, shutdown complete. Do this every day for 1 week. Notice the quality of your evenings and the quality of your mornings. The truth, what this book gets wrong. Deep Work is one of the most practically useful books published in the last decade. The research is solid. The arguments are well constructed. The strategies are immediately actionable. But it has one significant blind spot. Newport writes almost entirely from the perspective of an academic, someone with significant control over their own schedule, who can unilaterally decide when to go deep and when to surface. For most people, junior employees, people in highly collaborative roles, anyone whose job is inherently reactive, the advice to simply block out deep work time runs directly into organizational reality. Your manager expects responses. Your clients expect availability. Your team expects presence. Newport tells you what to do, but significantly underestimates how hard the environment problem is to solve without institutional support. The fix. Do not try to implement deep work in isolation. Start with a conversation with your manager about one protected block per week, even 90 minutes, where you are genuinely unavailable. Frame it in terms of output quality, not personal preference. Most managers respond better to, I produce significantly better work when I have uninterrupted blocks, than to, I am trying to work more deeply. Start with one block, prove the output, expand from there. The action. One thing to do today. One action. Before you sleep tonight, open your calendar for tomorrow. Find a 90-minute block, preferably in the morning before 11 a.m., and block it. Label it deep work. Write inside the block the single most important task you need to make progress on. Then do two things to protect it. Turn your phone to Do Not Disturb for that entire block. Close your email application completely. That is it. One 90-minute block, one important task, zero distractions. Most people have never done this even once in their professional life. Do it tomorrow. The quality of what you produce in that 90 minutes will tell you everything you need to know about what has been costing you every single day. Rule 1 and Rule 4 of this book, Work Deeply and Drain the Shallows, are worth reading in full. The specific scheduling techniques Newport describes in Rule 4 are particularly actionable and go further than anything this video can cover in the time available. The link to deep work is in the description. Audible link is there too. This one is excellent on audio. Subscribe to Page Edge for one book broken down like this every week. The real ideas, the honest critique, and the one action that actually changes something. One cheat code every week. See you next time.